In our world, there are many scary things out there that can cause the faint-hearted to lose sleep at night. Here are 25 of them. Number 1. Whilst there aren't many people who would ever fear butterflies, did you know that, whilst they lack the apparatus to bite, butterflies have been observed happily drinking blood? Oh, and there are some species of moths that actively seek out human blood. Number 2. The scientific community has a consensus that the last of your major senses to go when you die is your hearing. So, whilst you may be on the way out, at least you'll hear what people really thought about you. Number 3. In 2009, a Russian man named Artyom Sidorkin complained to his doctors that he had breathing problems. Fearing it was a tumor, "It's not a tumor!" Consultants investigated further, only to find a small fir tree was growing in his lung. He had somehow inhaled a seed and his body had been unable to expel it, and so it germinated in his body. Surgeons were able to successfully remove all traces of the little tree that could, but Sidorkin probably should have been a little more clued in when squirrels started following him around. Number 4. Criminologists estimate that since the 1960s, there have been around 200,000 murders that have gone unsolved in the USA, and that there are approximately 27,000 suspicious deaths that the FBI don't even know about, meaning that if you fall victim, there is a roughly 1 in 3 chance that your killer may never be found. Furthermore, it is estimated that there are roughly 2,000 serial killers at large around the world right now, with 25 to 50 of them being in the United States alone. But if there are any would-be murderers out there heartened by these statistics, no. Stop it. That's naughty. Number 5. Because of the distance between the two cosmic bodies, if our sun exploded right now, we wouldn't know about it for another 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and of course, by then, we'd all be so very screwed. Number 6. If you or your child has an imaginary friend, there's far more to it than just harmless play acting, as roughly 20% of children report hearing voices. Red rum, red rum. Number 7. A supervolcano that lies dormant under Yellowstone National Park has a magma chamber large enough to fit the whole city of Tokyo. There are around 40 known so-called supervolcanoes dotted around the world, all of which capable of wiping out millions of people should they erupt. What is worse is that volcanologists reckon we are roughly 24,000 years overdue for an eruption of any one of them.
Number 8. Number 8. Number 8.
Around 1 in 50 people in the USA are thought to currently have a brain aneurysm that hasn't ruptured. Yet. Furthermore, an aneurysm ruptures roughly every 18 minutes, for an annual total of nearly 30,000. Number 9. Many people dream of conquering Mount Everest for the ultimate challenge. However, you should know that many people never make it back. And because it's so dangerous and difficult to retrieve your corpse, chances are you'll join the roughly 200 plus bodies that currently litter the trail to the summit. Some of these deceased mountaineers are now used as waypoints or trail markers. The most famous, until recently, was an unidentified man simply dubbed Green Boots. His body was moved elsewhere in 2014, but in 2006, a British climber also died in the very same cave as Green Boots. At least 24 people passed by as he lay there slowly freezing to death that day, but many mistook him for Green Boots' body and so carried on their way. On top of this, because of the lack of toilet facilities and the sheer number of people attempting the climb every year, there are bags of human shit literally everywhere on Everest, as if avalanches weren't bad enough. Number 10. The average bed has between 100,000 to 100 million dust mites living on it right now, and they're eating some of your 40 pounds of dead skin that you slough off over your lifetime. You know, that same bed that you leave behind roughly 26 gallons of sweat throughout the course of your life. Number 11. Because so many people don't properly wash their hands after using the toilet, gross, around a quarter of all coffee cups have traces of fecal matter on them. Number 12. The number of people who have passed away before us outnumber the currently living by roughly 15 to 1. So if the zombie apocalypse ever does come, you're going to be glad of your mad neighbour with all those guns. Number 13. In the 1982 film Poltergeist, there is an infamous scene where the swimming pool of the house fills with dead bodies. Those bodies were not dummies, they were real corpses. It actually worked out far cheaper for the film crew to acquire actual dead bodies than to make fake props. Number 14. Man-made climate change is making spiders bigger. Perhaps Greta Thunberg should lead with that and more people would listen. I know I would. Ugh. Number 15. The chainsaw was invented to aid childbirth. Two Scottish chaps created the device to perform quick emergency episiotomies, a procedure where the woman is cut to create a wider path for the baby to pass through. Number 16. It is possible to die from holding in a sneeze. The act of sneezing is so sudden and violent that it can cause aneurysms to rupture, lungs to collapse, and also possibly tearing the pericardium, the sac that surrounds the heart. Number 17. If you're watching this video on your mobile phone, just know that it is dirtier than the average toilet seat. Number 18. In the days of yore, if you were really struggling for money, you could make a meagre amount of money by selling your urine to tanneries for treating leather. This is where we get the phrase, piss poor. And if you had even less money than that, you could tell people that you don't even have a pot to piss in. Number 19. According to those who have engaged in cannibalism, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyes. As well as that, apparently, human spinal fluid tastes like tangy bananas. Lovely. Number 20. If you extract the iron from around 3,000 litres of human blood, you might just have enough iron to make a knife. A knife you can literally forge from the blood of your enemies. And if that isn't badass, I don't know what is. Number 21. The salinity of seawater, if it gets into your lungs, causes the cells inside to hemorrhage, meaning that you drown in a mixture of seawater and your own blood. Number 22. For most people, the first sign of cardiovascular disease is sudden death. So if you do happen to die suddenly, see a doctor straight away. Number 23. When people think of dangerous animals in Africa, most will likely think of the big cats, hyenas, and wild dogs. However, the most dangerous mammal in Africa is the hippopotamus. Hippos, whilst having an image of a gentle giant, similar to cows, are fiercely territorial and will absolutely rock your shit if they spot you in their space. They regularly attack small boats and have been responsible for more human deaths than the other purely carnivorous animals previously mentioned. There's a reason that not even crocs will mess with hippos. So neither should you. Give them a very wide berth. And despite their vast bulk, they can run much faster than humans over short distances, so don't chance it. Number 24. Cone snails have a venomous dart that they use to quickly catch and kill their prey, and they have a cocktail of many different toxins in their venom that they can select for a particular prey item, so you definitely do not want to step on one or pick it up. There's a reason they have a saying in Australia, because of course that's where they live: if it's a cone, leave it alone. Words to truly live by. And number 25. Natural hot springs are a lovely way of relaxing and unwinding after a long day. However, if you're out in the wild somewhere, like Iceland for instance, you should only take a dip in a hot spring that has been declared safe. Most hot springs are either too hot or contain highly deadly corrosive compounds that will melt your face off. The famous music artist Ed Sheeran recently found this out to his cost after he stood a little too close to one and the ground beneath him gave way. Some of the water got into his boot and melted the skin of his foot. Mind you, he is ginger, so he should be used to getting burned. Bonus facts. This section I shall dedicate to debunking a couple of myths that refuse to go away, mostly because of the internet. Number 1. In the English city of York, it is legal to shoot a Scotsman from the city walls with a bow and arrow. No, this has never been a law. It was actually a myth that began in the 1970s and was actually applied to the city of Chester, that then transferred itself over to York, possibly thanks to the film Braveheart, which erroneously claims that William Wallace took the city, but he didn't even get anywhere near York. But no, you absolutely cannot shoot anyone from anywhere with any weapon in York, or indeed anywhere in the UK, and you have never been allowed to by law. Number 2. The airplane brace position is actually designed to break your neck, giving you a swift death, and therefore absolves the airline from a major amount of litigation. Nah, that's not true either. Whilst it does seem like this one could be legit, and I myself believed it for a time, but according to official sources, the intention of the brace position is twofold. The first is to avoid or minimise neck injuries, and the second is to avoid further injury caused by yourself and others from your limbs flailing about during the extreme trauma of a crash. So there we have it, 25 random dark facts. I hope you found it interesting, and thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to check out my back catalogue where you can see more fantastic tales from the dark side of history. Do you know some more dark, morbid or scary facts? Pop them in the comments and I will happily feature them in a future instalment of this mini-series. If you wish to do so, you can support DID on Patreon or become a channel member for the same price. Or you can give a one-off donation via the Super Thanks button. Or you can check out my merch store to help me carry on making these videos, and you can have something useful and, dare I say it, cool to show your support. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and I shall see you on our next descent into darkness.